This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with the Duet washing machine by Whirlpool, and we're getting the DL error for door lock, which means either the door lock itself is malfunctioning or the wires that hook up to the computer are not making good contact. So we're going to be replacing the door switch first, the door lock. We're going to use a standard head screwdriver to pry back on the clamp that's holding the door boot to the front panel, and we're going to remove these 3 torque fasteners. I think these are torque 15. So we're going to spin these out. Might be torque 20. And the whole lid lock will come loose, and we're just going to pull it out now so that we can get to the 3 modular connectors that hook to the back of it. Just going to reach in, pull it out of the front panel, and there's 3 of those modular connectors, and you're just going to pinch in and wiggle them out. And there's also like a plastic wire harness that hooks onto it, and it's not screwed on, but it's just kind of clipped in, and if you wiggle it around it'll come loose. So I'm taking off the top modular connector. I'm just going to pinch in on it, pull it out. I'm going to go to the next one. These are white in color, and the last one is black, and it's the bigger one, so we're going to squeeze in, pull that one out. And then the door lock's pretty much disconnected at this point, but we still have to get it off of this plastic wire harness that it's clipped to. So just take your time, look in there, you'll see how it comes out. You have to kind of wiggle it out of position. Once that's out, we're going to just put in the new one in reverse order. So grab the new lid lock, and we'll put in the different wire connectors one by one. Make sure they're snug, that they're all the way in. I'm getting it over that little wire harness here too. I'm going to put in the black one. That's the bottom one. So we got the bottom 2 done, and then we have one at the top. Get that in. Now we got the lock in position. We'll put the 3 Torx fasteners in to hold it. And now we're just going to put the door boot back on the front panel. And just take your time, make sure that it's all the way into that metal groove. And then we're going to stretch the spring-loaded clamp. Put that in that groove and then stretch it. We're going to hold it at about 4 o'clock and about 8 o'clock. And then we're going to pull it down. Use a standard head screwdriver to help me. And that clamps down, holding the boot onto the front panel. Some of these are pretty easy to put on, some are under a lot of tension. If it's got a lot of tension, you can put some liquid soap on it so it's somewhat lubricated, and it'll slip on easier. So we'll plug it in, close it, and then give it a test. So we're hearing some clicking sounds coming from the back, and that's the relay trying to send power to the door lock, but we're getting the door lock error again. So we're hearing the clicking, but the door lock is not getting the power, and that just means that the wire is kind of loose in where it hooks to the computer. So we're going to be taking off the top panel so that we can correct that wire harness problem. The Duets are pretty famous for the wires wiggling loose that connect to the computer, and there's a pretty easy way to get the wire connectors to hold tighter. So the DL error again, that just means door lock. So the door lock works, we know it's brand new. We know the connections at the door lock are good, so the connections that send power to the door lock we know are the ones in question. So we're going to remove these 3 Torx head fasteners from the back, and we'll push the panel away, take it off, and then the computer's located, or the controller's located at the very back. So I'm just wiggling all the modular connectors and pushing them back in. That usually cures most of the problems with a Duet. It's just these little connectors get loose, or they get a little bit of corrosion. So wiggling them and then pushing them back in, reseating them, is usually all you need to do. But there is a way to make the wire connectors a little bit tighter, and what you do is you pull off the modular connector and then you use something sharp like a pin to push in on the pieces of metal so they push in tighter. So this is the wires from the lid lock. They come up, there's the pink ones, the blue ones, and the black ones. And the ones that are loose are the ones that hook to the power relay, and they're the pink ones that come in right here. So we're going to pull these modular connectors out, and we're going to use a sharp tool to bend in the metal from either side just a little bit so that it makes a tighter connection. So I pulled out this one, bend in on the 2 sides, and then push it back in. If you're having other weird symptoms with your Duet, this is often the cause. We also have a motor controller that's located down lower. That same thing, you can just bend in the wires a little tighter and then they'll make better contact. So this connector has even more wires connected to it, so we're going to do it for each one and then push it back. We could hear this controller relay clicking, trying to send power to the door lock, but the door lock wouldn't respond, and that's just because this connection was bad, and now with these tight, this should do the trick. Some people also will spray some electrical cleaner to get rid of any corrosion, but it didn't look corroded, it just looked like maybe the connection had got a little loose over time, probably through vibration. There's a lot of wire connectors that hook to this controller, so you could do this with all of them, but it's probably just these pink ones. So we plugged it back in, give it a little test. So we're going to press cancel. It just gave us an error showing that the power had been turned off. So we turn it back on and start it up, and now it's working. So that's what it was. Customer had complained that it was kind of an intermittent problem. Sometimes the door lock would work, sometimes it wouldn't, and that often points toward just a loose wire or a bad connection. So we got it. So now we're just going to put the top panel back on, and put in the 3 screws that hold it on, and you are done. So maybe even before buying a new door lock, you could just try with the modular connectors. That might be all it is. So I hope this helps you, and thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.